It's time for my Mad Max Fury Road review. Y'all are going to be so pissed at me. I actually saw this movie over a month and a half ago when it first came out, but I was too lazy / busy to do a review for it. I'm sorry. So, Mad Max Fury Road. Does it live up to the hype? Well, who am I kidding? That shit was awesome. And either way, I still have to review it. Plot. This was a relatively long film, and surprisingly, the only part that seemed to drag was the first 20 minutes. I think this is because if you're new to the series like me, you might not really understand what's happening in this world in the first 20 minutes, and again, like the world building they're doing, but you'll catch on as much as you need to. Characters. Furiosa, my God, what a character. She's actually kind of marketed as an anti-hero, which I might agree with to some extent, but if her character was conceived as a man, he definitely would be deemed a hero. I mean, she's rescuing these women from sexual slavery, and she has all this pent-up anger and frustration with these still little spots of vulnerability that really just make her feel so human. This is what I mean when I say I love complex or well-written female characters versus just strong female characters. On paper, Furiosa is definitely both, but with strong female character narratives, they usually squish the female character down to become just one of the boys and have her crap all over other women. She's also not as feminine as her fellow comrades, but she's not seen as a joke. She's still kind of seen as this role model. I mean, I'll make a video on weaponizing femininity and why I disagree with it, but I think it's so refreshing to see a female character that goes against gender norms, but isn't something that's gawked at or used to be pitted against other female characters that happen to be feminine. Long story short, I could literally write a love letter to this character. What a godsend. I mean, besides the villains, there were no characters in this movie I really hated. Even their writing I really didn't hate for any of them. The rescue crew girls all had very distinct personalities and played their parts in the story in very individualized ways. Some of the girls preferred to stay back, some of them wanted to get in on the action, etc. Although I don't really think Nicholas Hoult's character was really that necessary, sorry. I just don't really understand what his personal arc contributed to the story that was original or outstanding. I mean, good acting though. Max. Oh man, I have never seen a Mad Max movie, so I can't really say if Tom Hardy did this role justice considering it's a remake, but considering in the originals part of the equation Mel Gibson is in there somewhere, I feel like either way Tom Hardy comes out a winner. Max's character wasn't really the central focus of this movie, but I honestly don't think his character needed to be. Since this is kind of a deconstructed remake, I don't really think he needed to be at the forefront of the story like you would need in a superhero movie or something. Cinematography. This movie looks incredible. Wow, does it look great. I would say if you're sensitive to bright / flashy things, you might want to be a bit wary, but it has a very clean and fresh look thanks to its color palette, which really helps such a gritty movie like this not look too grungy and downcast. Writing. I would say pretty good writing overall. Hey, no movie's perfect. I think a lot of the characters, even the villains, could have had some more fleshing out. Thankfully, we have a lot of Furiosa's backstory, but everyone else's is sort of lacking. I mean, for a summer action flick called Mad Max, I don't think anyone expected some David Fincher level depth here. But if there's ever a sequel or something, that's something to consider. I also feel because Max is the titular character of this story, the writers kind of felt he had to play a bigger role in the second and third act of this movie. No spoilers here, but there is kind of an irrational, emotional woman's decision gets folded over by a man's last minute, cool, calm, collected, heroic decision type scene. But I mean, other than that, for the most part, I think Max stays in his lane. But if you have any personal opinions about that, feel free to tell me. Representation. This movie has more established female characters than it does male characters, and that's fantastic, especially for an action movie. This film also has 3 women of color, and I know a lot of people are only initially thinking of Zoe Kravitz when I say that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not the final word on this issue, obviously. But Megan Gale and Courtney Eaton are also biracial women of color. I have a link down below to a post explaining the significance and meaning much better than I ever could. There aren't any LGBTQIA+ characters, so so sad face. Furiosa has a physical disability as she's lost part of her arm. I think there are a lot of cliches and insensitive tropes that could have been implemented because of this, but I think the writers handled it pretty tactfully. But if personally you're someone with a physical disability and you want to toss your opinion my way about that representation, be it positive or negative, go on right ahead. I'd love to hear about it. Overall, I was so scared that this movie was going to be overhyped and that my fellow feminists were just getting a little too overexcited for a little sliver of representation. But thankfully, I was proven wrong. From a critical analysis standpoint, this movie surpassed my expectations as well. I would love to see more representation from the LGBTQIA+ side of things, and in terms of racial diversity in Hollywood action movies, now that they've all hopped on the "oh yeah, women can be in action movies too" train. As well as even more fleshed out characters if there happened to be a sequel. I recommend this movie to anyone who is a fan of action, gets overly invested in female characters, or just has 2 hours to kill. For an adult action movie, I give Mad Max Fury Road a solid A. If you didn't see my Inside Out review, you probably don't know that for all the movies I will be reviewing on this channel, I am leaving trigger warnings down below just in case for reference. I always take movie review requests or other video ideas that pertain to social justice and aren't just movie reviews. I have some stuff lined up that I've been dying to talk about personally, so don't worry, this won't just turn strictly into a movie review or a strictly social justice channel. It'll be a mix of both because after all, my username is The Filminist and I kind of should start living up to that. As always, thank you for watching. I'm The Filminist, and I'll see you soon.